Okay, hello everyone. We are live streaming. Welcome to another episode of Awareness Through Movement Home Moves. This is session 3, so hopefully you've done the other 2. If you haven't, I'm going to give you a little bit of intro now and then we'll get straight into it. Hopefully you're wearing comfortable clothes where you're free to move and that you have some space that you can lie on the floor. On a rug is good, on a mat is good. Just want a little bit of space so you can have your full body length and you're able to move. This is a gentle process, gentle explorations of movement with the intention to really have an opportunity to feel into what your movement habits are. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you impulsively move, when you're exploring a positional change or some kind of configuration change, you'll typically just enter into what your learnt patterns are. Now, when you slow the process down, you start to play with the space that's in between stimulus and response. The intention to act and the act itself. And that's what these sessions are all about, being able to play in that space and then unpack and explore what it is that you do. And you encounter your habits, and that's the exciting thing. Because when you encounter them, you can unpack them and you restore a sense of choice over your action. And once that's restored and once that becomes a part of your awareness capability, then you can apply that to multiple sectors in life. So once again, we're joined by Rachel. Give us a wave, Rachel. We're in lockdown together, so she's my wonderful, able assistant in the process. Now, she's doing the lessons just like you are. She's no better or worse than you necessarily, and she hasn't done this lesson before. So she's just in her own exploration. But why I feel it's worthwhile to have imagery of Rachel is that if she finds herself in any configurational, I don't even know if that's a word, configuration errors, like if she's doing the one of the movements quite incorrectly, then I will correct her. So if you get lost or if you vague out at any point, which is easy to do, I think, if you're doing these things online, then you can just take a look at the screen and see where Rachel's at, what she's doing or what configuration she's in, and that will give you some sense of where to return to yourself. So that's why I think it's useful having this vision. And we have this shot of Rachel as well. So we can just flick back and forth. Sometimes I think it's useful to see this longitudinal view, and sometimes it'll be more useful to see her from the side. So without any further ado, let's get started. So could you lie down on your back? And just feel how you're lying. Feel what's heavy. What parts of you are heavy? And in case it's not obvious, when I'm looking down like this, I'm actually looking at Rachel, even though she's kind of above me up there. There? There. Everything's in reverse, of course. And feel what's light. What feels light to you? If you were to nominate a part of yourself that in lying on the floor like this feels light, what would it be? And in lying on the floor like this, lying on your back, where does your attention go to? and then I know I just directed your attention to a couple of places, but when you just return to yourself, where does your attention go? And is your attention a directed focus, a hard focus on particular areas, things that you really notice, or is it a soft focus, just a more of a generalized sense of yourself or sense of parts of yourself? Can you let that inquisitive, self-referential gaze meander through you, amble through you? And can you roll onto your side and come up into a position where you're on your hands and knees? So you're kind of like you're about to crawl. And can you just move to your left a little bit, Rachel? Excellent. So in this position, so hopefully your hands are pretty much beneath your shoulders and your knees are beneath your hips. And so this lesson is largely going to be spent on your hands and knees, so some self-care needs to be executed. Executed is a strange word to use there. Don't execute anything, but please take great care of yourself. I can't see you because this is a one-way communication, so it's very important that you take responsibility for your self-care. And okay, so here's where we make the liability note. I can't accept liability for your injuries should you sustain any, so don't sustain any. How do you not sustain injuries? You just really pay attention to yourself and just feel where effort starts being employed. Feel where it's too much. Feel where your wrists start panging or hurting, or your knees, or where you've maybe bent too far, and pull back. And there's no prizes for pushing yourself in this process. None at all. So it's really important that it's only through being gentle in your inquiry with yourself, it's only through lessening effort that you increase your sensitivity to be able to feel the nuances of what you're doing. So that's the invitation. So with that in mind, could you start rounding your back and then arching your back? So rounding your back so as to bring it more towards the ceiling, and then arching your back so as to lower that middle part of your back towards the floor. And just alternate back and forth and feel how you do it. Feel what's moving when you do this. And have a rest in the sitting position, so just sit back on your feet and on your hands and knees. Not your hands and knees, just on your knees. In the kneeling position, if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, just have a sit. And return to your hands and knees. Could you now flex your right foot so as to stand on your toes, and then extend your right foot, and and move back and forth between those two movements, flexing and extending your right foot. When you're doing that, is it just a movement that you feel that terminates in your ankle, or do you feel it going higher up through your body? How far into yourself can you feel this movement of flexing and extending your right foot? And have a rest in sitting again. And come back onto your hands and knees. Could you flex and extend your right foot again? And as you're doing that, let your belly hang as much as you can. Now this can be difficult because so much of us, so many of us, so much of the time have all kinds of holding patterns in our belly. But as much as you can, just let your belly hang, let it be relaxed. And just feel whether doing that assists this movement of flexing and extending your right foot. Does it assist you to have a sense of the movement passing through you further? Now tighten your belly, hold your belly, constrict your belly, and continue doing the movement of extending and flexing your right foot, and see how that affects your sense of the movement. And let your belly go again. And now quicken the movement of the flexing and extending of your right foot. And now slow it right down. And now have a rest on your back. So roll over, roll onto your back. And just feel how you're lying now, and feel if anything occurs to you differently, just in the nature of your contact with the floor, or just how anything is feeling, just from those simple explorations. And roll to your side and come back onto your hands and knees. So now, focusing your attention on your left foot, could you begin to flex and extend your left foot, your left ankle, so as to come onto your toes and then to put the backs of your toes to the floor. And just feel how you do it on this side. Feel if it feels different. And could you do it and pay attention to letting your belly relax? Letting your belly hang down as much as you can to the floor. So it's unbound, unconstricted. And then tighten your belly and continue this movement of flexing and extending your left foot. And have a little rest in sitting. and come back onto your hands and knees. Could you now flex and extend both feet together simultaneously? And pause. And could you now flex your right foot, and as you extend it, then flex your left foot. So you're alternating the extension and flexion of each foot, each ankle. How does this affect the shifting of your weight? You feel it go more towards your hands? When do you feel it pull away from your hands? And go back to flexing both feet together. Let your belly hang as you do it. And now do the flexing quickly. Make it fast and light. And pause and roll onto your back and have another rest on your back. And what do you sense differently now? And roll to your side, come back onto your hands and knees. Now remember, I have said, and I'll say it again, rest when you need to. Like, I'm giving rests, but if you feel like you need to take a rest at another time, please do so. Really important that you do. And also, take great care of your wrists in doing these things. If your wrists feel like they start hurting or straining, you could do this on your fists. So just try that. Just make fists and stand on your fists. So that just changes the angle running through your wrist bones. So it might relieve them if you need to. Otherwise, if you feel good about staying on your hands, then stay on your hands. Now, could you cross one foot over the back of the other ankle, and then take it back, and go back and forth that way. So just notice which leg you've chosen, which foot you've chosen. This is the habitual. How do we know it's the habitual? Because it's the one that you chose without thinking about it. Okay. So pause, and then can you cross that other foot across the other ankle? And just feel how you do it. So in doing this, you're pivoting on your knee so as to lift your foot and bring it inbound towards and on top of the other one. So your knee, your femur is actually pivoting inwards, inside, outwards, sorry. Femur's pivoting outwards to bring your lower leg inwards. Now, that's a direction I probably didn't need to give because it's maybe just going to confuse the issue. So slow down and just feel how it is on this side. And feel, what do you feel in your pelvis? And pause. can now alternate. So one foot across the other one, and then the other across the other. So there's a couple of ways to do this. So just pause. One way is to move both feet towards one another as you do it. So try that. And the other way, so pause, the other way is to, so if you're crossing your right foot over the back of your left ankle, it's to keep your left leg and foot stationary. So the only thing that's moving is your pivoting right knee and right foot. So go back and forth that way. And the reason why we're choosing that way is because it's going to influence where you shift your weight. And that's what I want you to feel. How does your weight shift when you're doing this alternating, taking one foot over the back of your other? And have a rest in sitting. Mm-hmm. Rachel was just asking if that's right. And I said, mm-hmm. Come onto your hands and knees again. Could you now do another thing, which is to slide your right knee further to the right, keeping your right foot where it is. And then bring it back. And then take it to the right again. And just feel how you make sense of this movement. Because this is, all of a sudden, this is asking all sorts of questions of your torso and your upper body and your weight shift. So explore options, explore how you might want to do it. And pause in the middle. Can you now, instead of sliding it to the right, pick your knee up and place it to the right? So picking it up, shifting it across to the right, and then picking it up again and shifting it back to where it was. And just try that a few times. And pause and rest in sitting. Come back onto your hands and knees. Could you now flex your right foot so as to stand on your toes and place your right knee out to the right again and then bring it back. Feel how your weight shifts as you're doing this. And leave it in the middle and pause. And let your foot go long again, so your foot's now extended, so the top of your foot, top of your toes are lying on the floor. And can you please cross your right ankle over your left again? Just go back and forth, just with your right foot coming over your left ankle, and just feel whether that's any easier now. pause. Now cross your left ankle over the back of your right and feel how that is on this side. Does it feel any different? And have a rest in sitting. Come back onto your hands and knees. Could you take your left knee out to the left and place it down? And then bring your left knee back to where it was and put it down. And go back and forth that way. And just feel how you can do it on this side. And now flex your left ankle. So you're in that starting blocks position, and continue to lift your left knee and put it out to the left, and then bring it back. And really feel that when you put it out to the left, you're really placing weight on it. And now extend your foot again and continue the movement. So picking your left knee up, putting it out to the left, your left foot staying where it is. Now can you do it quicker? See if can you do it quickly and find a way to make it light. And pause. Okay. Pause. Having an injury in our studio here. No, we're not. You're not injured, are you? Yeah. I could hear the crack from here. So this is going to work out your knee joints. So you want to be careful with yourself. Cracking is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just working out the interaction of the femur with the tibia and fibula. So could you now cross your left foot over the back of your right ankle and go back and forth a few times and just feel whether this feels any easier now. And now pause and alternate. So crossing one foot over the other and then the other one over the other. Great. Pause, have a rest in sitting. Back onto your hands and knees with your toes long. Could you now take your left knee to the left and back, and then take your right knee to the right and back. So you're alternating once to the left and once to the right. And just feel the shifting of your weight. Okay, now slow it right down. Go really slowly and just feel what your preparation is. So remember what I said at the start, like this is an exploration of what happens between stimulus and response. So the stimulus is this intention that you have to pick up your knee and to take it to the left or to the right, depending on which knee it is. And so the room that you have to play with is feeling what your preparations are, and then being able to make a choice about, do I really want to go through with that? So you might feel that there are some contractions happening in some part of your body that when you really go into it, feel like they're not actually going to contribute to that movement. In fact, they might even just get in the way. And that's how habitual little movement patterns can surface and confuse the issue. So in going slowly, you have more opportunity to unpack that, to feel that. So, having said that, now make it fast. Because sometimes we just like to disrupt the boat. And pause. And roll onto your back and have a rest. A full rest on your back. Roll to your side and come back onto your hands and knees. Could you now slide your right knee towards your right hand? And then bring it back. So you don't need to touch your right hand or your right wrist. You don't need to get there at all. You're just feeling the direction. Just feeling how it is that you do this. Bringing the knee forwards of yourself. And then back. And then pause. Pause in your kneeling position, crawling position. And take your right knee to the right and back. And could you now take your right knee to the left and right? That's it. So now you're adding another direction here. The direction towards your left knee. And rest in sitting. You're in the inquiry, which is great. Rachel just said she doesn't understand what's happening. It's quite a common thing throughout awareness through movement. It's often not until the end that you have some sense of what's going on here. And which, of course, raises the question, like, what's this about? Like, where's this headed? Is commonly something that comes up when you're doing these lessons, doing these movements. Like, what are we driving at here? So, do you have a sense of it? Do you have a sense of where we're going with this? Maybe, maybe not. So come back to your hands and knees again. So could you now take your right knee to the right again? But then instead of bringing it back, can you take it towards your right hand? And then pull it back towards your left knee. And then back out to the right. And can you continue to make circles in this way? So I've sort of articulated a triangle then, but just extrapolate a circle from the directions. So you're really exploring this, your femur, the head of your femur in your hip joint, in your hip socket. Now, how do you do that? How do you make the accommodations in your torso, in your rib cage, to be able to do this? You need a flexible rib cage. Okay, reverse it. Go in the other direction. Is that easier or harder? And pause. And have a rest in sitting. Can't see your face in the video, Rachel. It'd be good if we could. Rachel's a big smile, but she looks a bit bewildered. So come back onto your hands and knees. And notice what's an effort as well, hey? Like this is part of the process. And look, there are some lessons where you might experience effort where if the exploration was being handled efficiently, effort wouldn't be arising. But there are other ones, and this is one of them, where it's already a bit of an effort to be on your hands and knees, to be honest. And so picking up the weight of your whole knee and leg and moving it around, that's also going to require some effort. But then there's moderation and there's degrees within that effort as well. And so you want to just sort of be present to that. Be aware of where there is effort in areas of yourself that when you really feel into it, you realize aren't required. So that's the invitation in this one. Could you now slide your left knee to the left and back? And then continue to slide it further to the right when you bring it back. So you're sliding your left knee to the left and then sliding it all the way back towards your right knee. Go back and forth. Just feel this weight shift, feel what accommodations you make. And then pause in the middle. And can you slide your left knee towards your left hand and back? So again, it's just towards the hand. It doesn't have to touch the hand, just feeling how you do it. Does it feel different on this side? And pause in the middle. And can you now make circles with your left knee? So let's articulate the direction. So take your left knee to the left, and then bring it towards your left hand, and then back towards your right knee, and then further out to the right, left, further out to the left, and continue in that way. So you're going in clockwise. And just feel how it is on this side. It's really great having two ways, like two sides of yourself, to feel how you realize movements. And you get to feel what your habits are, and you get to juxtapose, contrast, compare and contrast. And if one side feels easy and free and the other side feels constrained and restricted, then you get to unpack that and go, how can I bring that ease and freedom into the side that is otherwise constrained? So yeah, go easy on your wrists. Can you reverse the circles on this side? Reverse the direction. And have a rest on your back. And roll back onto your side and up onto your hands and knees. Now, could you now send your attention to your left foot again, but could you swing it outboard? So swing it out to the further to the left, and then back. So you're now pivoting, your knees pivoting the other direction. Your femur is pivoting inside, so as to swing your left foot outside. And can you involve your head in that movement? Could you even, so first of all, feel where it's easier to take your head. Is it easier to take your head to the left or to the right? Feel how in doing this movement, your torso is really being asked to bend, and just feel where you can bend here. Feel where your ribs are wanting to bend. And now can you see if you can make eye contact with the foot when you turn it out? And in making eye contact, just be sure that you're looking over your shoulder, looking around your shoulder rather than under your shoulder. And pause in the middle. Can you now flex your left foot? So standing on your toes, and continue to swing that left foot further to the left and look around your shoulder to look at it. Just feel how it is in this flexed position. Is it easier or harder? Okay, and pause. Can you now swing your right foot to the right? Actually, have a little rest. Have a little rest on your sitting down. Come back onto your hands and knees. And can you now pivot on your right knee so as to swing your right foot out to the right? And make eye contact with your foot. So you're really interested in what's on the end of your toes. And you're looking around your right shoulder. And now flex your right foot and continue. And now extend your right foot and continue. Is it easier in flexed or extended? And pause. Now return to your left foot and swing your left foot out to the left. And now alternate, once left and once right. And try both. So swing both feet to the left and then swing both feet to the right. And really feel how much of you can bend through the middle as you do this. And now pause in the middle position. Now alternate, just sending, so leave your right leg stationary and bend your left knee around and then alternate. So that's it. And pause, rest in sitting. Come back onto your hands and knees. Could you now slide your right knee to the left and bring it somewhere in between your left hand and your left knee, and then back. And go back and forth that way. So trying to find somewhere, some approximate place between your left hand and your left knee. Now just slow down and just feel how you do this shifting of your weight in your pelvis, and just feel as you do it, if you were to lower your right hip towards the floor, that your pelvis can turn and you could actually send your weight down towards the floor. So just try that, just explore that a little bit. So you're moving your right knee to the left, somewhere around in between your left foot, left hand and your left knee. And as you do it, feel that you can twist your pelvis so as to bring your right hip down. And if you wanted to, you could actually sit on your left hip. And then you can come back up.
Right hip?
On your right hip, sorry. Sorry, everybody. This is why it's great having someone here, I might add. So really feeling this twist through the bottom part of yourself. Okay, pause. Pause in the middle. You now switch to the left side. So bringing your left knee somewhere in between your right hand and your right knee. And as you do so, you can lower your left hip towards the floor. And then you just reverse the movement. So you're looking for reversibility here. This is one of the key pillars of awareness through movement, is to find reversibility in any movement that you're doing. And a well-organized movement is able to be reversed at any point. So at any point, you could stop this movement and then go back the other way. Rest in sitting. Now, if you are using a mat at home, particularly one of those rubberized yoga mats, then you might want to roll it up and put it to the side for this next part. You want less friction. So come back onto your hands and knees. So can you now continue this lowering yourself to the left, so bringing your left knee towards the right and then lowering your left hip down, then come back up and then bring your right knee to the left and lower your right hip down, and alternate one side to the other. And so again, you're looking for reversibility here, and you're also looking for where it feels easy and where it feels difficult, and transferring the ease across. Being able to ascertain what it is that feels easy, and sometimes that might be possible more through ascertaining what feels difficult. Okay, so now pause. Don't worry about the pausing in the middle, and just see if you can really flip it one side to the other. And so you're making it fast and light. Involve your head. Brilliant. Have a rest. Lie on your back. Excellent. And as much as we're looking for ease, I would be very surprised if you weren't puffing and panting at this point. Now, upon reflection, how free was your neck and your head in doing that? How free and supple were your shoulders and your ribs? How adaptable were you? So come back onto your hands and knees. And can you now bring your knees together? So your feet and knees are touching. Or your feet are touching one another and your knees are touching one another. And continue the movement and just feel how it is with this configuration being imposed. So you're still flipping side to side and you're still looking for ease. And you're wanting that adaptability and the suppleness in your upper spine and your ribs and your head and your neck. Okay, pause. Sit on your, have a sit. Come back onto your hands and knees. You now separate your knees and your feet wide apart. So wider than they've been before. And now try it in this configuration. So still doing this thing of bringing one knee towards the other and then flipping your pelvis around and down. And pause. That's great. And now just return to your comfortable position. So you've now explored knees together, knees wide apart. Now just return to something more like your knees beneath your hips. And again, just do this flipping movement side to side. Just feel how light it is now. Okay, pause. Rest in sitting. Come back to your hands and knees. Now, remember that movement you did at the beginning of rounding and arching your back? So just do that a few times. Just feel how that movement is flowing through you now. And pause. Can you flex and extend both feet, both ankles? Just feel the sense of connection into your hips. Do it lightly and quickly. And do it slow. Wonderful. Okay, roll onto your back and have a well-earned rest. So where do you feel heavy? What parts of you feel heavy? And what parts of you feel light? What's different? So slowly roll to your side and come up to standing. And just sense yourself in standing. So don't go anywhere yet. Just sense how it is that you're upright in the gravitational field. Do you feel taller or shorter? Just wiggle your pelvis left and right. And in taking your pelvis left and right in standing, can you feel some relationship to what you were doing on the floor? And pause, have a walk around. And again, in walking around, just feel how your weight is shifting. Feel a sense of the movement of your pelvis. And take this sensation, take this increased, broadened sense of yourself and the capacity of movement through yourself. Take that into the rest of your day and, hey, take it into the rest of your week, really. And return to aspects of this lesson. If there's anything in this lesson that really was the ping for you, the moment of, okay, that's really given me something, then return to it. Like, come back to that, remember it, summon it up tomorrow, and and just do it. Just repeat the parts that meant something to you or that were pleasurable, that gave you something. And that's how you can reawaken these lessons so they can be with you always. All right, that's it for today. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you again at the same time next week. Bye for now.